If you really want to be fluent in English, subscribe us. When you start learning English, it can feel hard. But don't worry. Many people start from zero, just like you. They don't know many words and speaking feels difficult. But with time, they become fluent. You can too. This is your journey from zero to fluent. When I first started learning English, I knew only a few words. I was shy to speak. But I kept trying. Every day I learned a new word. I practiced speaking, even if I made mistakes. Slowly I became better. Now I can speak without fear. You can reach this point too. One day I met a man who was fluent in English. He told me, "Don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are your best teacher." I took his advice. Every mistake taught me something new. It was like building a house. Every mistake was a brick. Each brick made my English stronger. A friend of mine once told me a story. She said, "When I was learning English, I used to talk to myself in the mirror. It felt silly, but it helped me practice. I became more confident. Now, I can speak English in front of many people without feeling nervous." This story inspired me. I started doing the same. It worked for me, and it can work for you too. Listening is also very important. When I was learning, I listened to English songs and stories. I didn't understand everything at first, but I kept listening. Slowly, I started understanding more. My ears became used to the sounds of English. This helped me speak better. One day I was watching a movie in English. I didn't understand most of it, but I noticed that I could catch some words. I felt happy. This small progress made me want to learn more. So I watched more movies. Each time I understood a little more. It was like putting together pieces of a puzzle. Bit by bit, the picture became clear. Reading is another way to improve. I started with simple books. At first I had to look up many words, but I didn't give up. I read every day. Over time, I needed the dictionary less and less. Reading also helped me learn how to form sentences correctly. It was like having a silent teacher with me all the time. I remember a time when I was reading a book in English. There was a sentence that I didn't understand. I read it again and again. Then, suddenly I understood. It was a small victory, but it felt big. Moments like these make the learning process exciting. Speaking is the key to fluency. The more you speak, the better you get. At first, I was scared to speak in English. I worried about making mistakes. But I learned that making mistakes is okay. They are a part of learning. So I started speaking more. I talked to my friends in English. I even talked to myself when I was alone. This practice helped me a lot. One day I had to speak English at a meeting. I was nervous, but I remembered my practice. I took a deep breath and started speaking. To my surprise, I spoke well. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. This gave me the confidence to keep speaking English in other situations. Another tip is to write in English. Writing helps you organize your thoughts. It also helps you practice grammar. I started by writing short sentences. Then, I wrote longer paragraphs. I even kept a diary in English. Writing became a daily habit. This habit made me more fluent. I remember writing my first English letter. It was full of mistakes. But I didn't mind. I was proud of myself for trying. I kept writing, and with time, my writing improved. Today, I can write in English without thinking too much. This is the power of practice. Learning English is like planting a tree. At first, you plant a small seed. You water it every day. You take care of it. Slowly, the seed grows into a plant. Then, it becomes a tree. This tree gives you fruits. In the same way, your English skills will grow if you practice every day. One day you will be fluent, and your hard work will give you fruits. Remember, learning English is not a race. It is a journey. Everyone has their own pace. Some people learn quickly, while others take time. The important thing is not to stop. Keep moving forward, even if it's one step at a time. Every step you take brings you closer to fluency. There is a quote that I love: "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." This quote always reminds me that every small effort counts. Even if you learn just one new word today, it is a step forward. Keep taking these steps, and soon you will see how far you've come. Another thing that helped me was surrounding myself with English. I changed my phone settings to English. I listened to English radio stations. I even started thinking in English. This made me more comfortable with the language. It was like living in an English-speaking country, even though I was at home. One day I decided to speak only English for a whole day. It was hard at first. I had to think a lot before speaking. But as the day went on, it became easier. By the end of the day, I was speaking without thinking too much. This experience taught me that practice is the key to fluency. I also learned the importance of patience. There were days when I felt like I wasn't making progress. I felt frustrated. But I reminded myself that learning takes time. Just like a tree doesn't grow overnight, fluency doesn't come quickly. It takes time, effort, and patience. But the result is worth it. I remember a time when I felt like giving up. I was tired of making mistakes. But then I met someone who spoke English fluently. I asked them how they became so good. They told me I made a lot of mistakes. But I never gave up. This gave me the strength to keep going. I realized that everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is to keep trying. Another important thing is to have fun while learning. When you enjoy the process, it doesn't feel like work. I found ways to make learning English fun. I played word games, watched funny videos, and sang along to English songs. These activities made learning enjoyable. They also helped me improve without even realizing it. One day I was playing a word game with my friend. We were trying to find as many English words as we could. It was a fun competition. We laughed a lot. But at the same time, we learned many new words. This showed me that learning can be fun and effective at the same time. In my journey to fluency, I learned that having a positive attitude is important. There were times when I felt discouraged, but I reminded myself to stay positive. I told myself that I could do it. This positive mindset helped me overcome challenges. It also made the learning process more enjoyable. I remember a time when I was struggling with pronunciation. I couldn't say certain words correctly. It was frustrating. But instead of getting upset, I laughed at myself. I told myself it's okay. I'll get it right next time. This positive attitude made the learning process less stressful. One thing I did to improve my pronunciation was to imitate native speakers. I listened to how they spoke and tried to copy them. At first it was difficult, but with practice I became better. I started sounding more like a native speaker. This boosted my confidence. I also realized the importance of setting goals. When you have a goal, it gives you something to work towards. My goal was to be able to have a conversation in English without struggling. I kept this goal in mind every day. It motivated me to keep practicing, even when it was hard. One day I had a conversation with a native English speaker. I was nervous, but I remembered my goal. I started speaking, and to my surprise, I did well. I made some mistakes, but I was able to communicate. This experience showed me that setting goals can lead to success. Learning English also taught me the value of perseverance. There were days when I didn't feel like studying, but I pushed myself to keep going. I reminded myself why I started. I knew that if I kept going, I would reach my goal. And I did. One memory that stands out is when I was preparing for an English test. I studied hard every day. There were times when I wanted to give up, but I kept going. When I finally took the test, I passed with a good score. This experience taught me that hard work and perseverance pay off. I also learned that it's okay to ask for help. When I didn't understand something, I asked my teacher or a friend. They were always willing to help. Asking for help doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're willing to learn. This attitude helped me a lot in my journey to fluency. One day I was struggling with grammar. I couldn't understand a certain rule. I asked my teacher for help. She explained it to me in a way that made it clear. After that, I never had trouble with that grammar rule again. This experience showed me the importance of asking for help when needed. I also learned that it's important to celebrate small victories. Every time I learned a new word or understood a difficult sentence, I celebrated. These small victories kept me motivated. They showed me that I was making progress, even if it was slow. I remember the first time I watched a movie in English without subtitles. It was a big moment for me. I understood most of the movie. I felt proud of myself. This small victory gave me the confidence to keep learning. In conclusion, becoming fluent in English is a journey. It's not easy, but it's possible. With patience, perseverance, and practice, you can achieve fluency. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. The key is to keep going, even when it feels hard. I want to share another story with you. A friend of mine was learning English, just like you. She struggled at first. She often felt frustrated because she couldn't express herself the way she wanted to. But she didn't give up. Every day she practiced speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Slowly, she began to improve. One day she realized that she could have a full conversation in English without thinking too much. It was a moment of joy for her. She told me the hard work was worth it. Now, I can speak English confidently. Her story reminds us that perseverance is the key to success. Another important thing to remember is that everyone learns at their own pace. Don't compare yourself to others. Some people may learn faster, while others take more time. That's okay. Focus on your own progress. Celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. Each step forward is a step toward fluency. I also want to talk about the importance of using English every day. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes. Even if you're just thinking in English, it's practice. When I was learning, I made it a habit to think in English. At first it was difficult. My thoughts were slow and sometimes jumbled. But with time it became easier. Now I think in English without effort. This habit has helped me a lot. I remember a time when I was walking to the store. I decided to think in English about what I needed to buy. I thought about the words for each item and how I would ask for them if I needed help. It was a simple exercise, but it helped me practice English in a real-life situation. This is something you can do too. Find small ways to use English in your daily life. It could be as simple as thinking in English, writing a shopping list, or talking to yourself about your day. Another helpful tip is to find a language partner. This is someone you can practice speaking with. It could be a friend, a teacher, or someone you meet online. Having regular conversations in English helps you become more comfortable with the language. It's also a great way to learn new words and phrases. I had a language partner when I was learning English. We met once a week to practice speaking. Sometimes we talked about our hobbies. Other times we discussed news or shared stories. These conversations were very helpful. They gave me confidence and helped me learn how to express myself better in English. I also want to share a quote that inspired me during my learning journey. Learning another language is not only learning different words for the same things, but learning another way to think about things. This quote reminds us that language is more than just words. It's about understanding a different culture, thinking differently, and seeing the world from a new perspective. As you learn English, you're not just learning to speak, you're expanding your mind. Another thing that helped me was setting small, achievable goals. For example, I set a goal to learn 5 new words every day. At first it seemed small, but over time those words added up. I also set goals like finishing a book in English or writing a short story. These goals kept me motivated and gave me a sense of accomplishment when I reached them. One day I set a goal to have a conversation with a stranger in English. It was a big challenge for me. I was nervous, but I reminded myself of all the practice I had done. I approached someone and started talking. To my surprise, the conversation went well. This experience taught me that setting goals, even challenging ones, is important. It pushes you out of your comfort zone and helps you grow. Learning English also taught me to be patient with myself. There were times when I felt like I wasn't making progress. But I realized that progress doesn't always happen overnight. It's the result of consistent effort over time. Just like a plant takes time to grow, your fluency will grow if you keep practicing. I remember a time when I was trying to learn a difficult grammar rule. I kept getting it wrong, and it was frustrating. But I didn't give up. I practiced every day. Slowly, I started to understand it. This experience taught me that persistence pays off. Even when things seem difficult, if you keep trying, you will improve. Finally, I want to remind you to enjoy the journey. Learning a language is a beautiful experience. It's a chance to discover new things, meet new people, and open new doors. Don't be too hard on yourself. Celebrate your progress, laugh at your mistakes, and enjoy the process. As you continue your journey to fluency, remember that every effort you make is bringing you closer to your goal. Keep practicing, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Fluency is not a destination, it's a journey, and you are well on your way. This journey will continue, and you will keep getting better every day. The steps you've taken so far have already brought you closer to fluency. Keep moving forward, and soon you'll reach your goal. Your journey from zero to fluent is a story of perseverance, patience, and growth. And it's a story that you will continue to write with every word you learn, every sentence you speak, and every conversation you have. Your fluency is within reach. Keep going and you'll get there.